Dead Island 2 is a game that many of us have been anticipating and waiting for since E3 of 2014. I know I have at least. 8 years later, it got announced, but this time at ONL 2022, and if the hype wasn't there before, you bet your ass it was now. We now have officially seen with our eyes that Dead Island 2 is here, and it is happening after a long run in developmental hell. This past week, there was a 15-minute or so video showing off some gameplay, dialogue, and some new systems that have been implemented, and I gotta say that even though I'm excited, I'm also kind of concerned. We're gonna break this down bit by bit and go into the good and the bad with the gameplay reveal. I'll be leaving a link to the gameplay video in the description and pinned comment, so if you don't want to hear me ramble, there you go. Also, be sure to sub to the channel if you enjoyed today's content. Okay, let's continue. To start things off, this is obviously a work in progress sort of thing. I'm not going to be surprised if whatever we're about to see changes or gets altered in any way, shape, or form. With that being said, we begin the gameplay as DANI, an agile smartass with a cruel sense of humor and one of the 6 players you choose in the game. Each character will have their own set of skills and beginning abilities, but if you don't like what they offer, you can easily customize them with the skill tree, and I hope and pray to God that it's different than what we got in the first Dead Island game. Because yeah, we did get a skill tree that you could customize in your own little unique way, but it was very monotone with the character that you chose. Hopefully we get to see a little bit of customization, a little bit of role exploring, if you will. One thing that didn't bother me a lot, but also something that I didn't really like, was these random pauses that take place in the video to talk about shit they could have easily covered in different parts of the video without them doing this. Regardless, they talk about their dismemberment technology and how amazing it'll look, and honestly, I do say it does look amazing. We also get to see a little bit of it into play when DANI blows a leg off a walker with a 9mm, you know, and an old man once said that a 9mm will rip the lungs out of a person's body, so this is accurate. So after seeing the map and the weapon wheel, which mostly function the same way similar to the first game, they just look better, we move on to a different section dedicated to those who aim to beat the unholy hell out of everything in sight, myself included. We see a really nice demonstration of what bladed weapons will look like because of their flesh technology. Everything looks really smooth, the hits look like they connect really well. You know, I'm impressed so far. We then moved on to the blunt weapons, and this section had me moister than an oyster. Had me dripping like a car exhaust in winter. It feels like you're gonna be able to feel how heavy the impacts are while striking these zombies, and that's something that I yearn for. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, even though it's a VR game, does a fantastic job simulating this feeling. Moving on from the blunt weapons, we see a brief demonstration of gunplay, and this is where I move from overwhelmingly positive to somewhat positive. I think this is the first time I've seen someone shoot a gun in a zombies game and be like, yeah, I'm good. Plus, the stock sound effects don't help. I've heard the same Halo Warthog turret sound so many times, it just kind of takes me out of it. Capable of. Finally, we see something somewhat new, and it's the crafting / modding system. And this honestly looks like something more immersive than the first game, because in Dead Island, it was only just about finding blueprints and finding what weapons correspond with the blueprint. Now it looks like you have a little bit of creative freedom over what mods you can put onto one weapon. After a quick little showcase, we move on to some dialogue from basically a long-haired David Hasselhoff. He's been partying all night, wanting some pizza, but he tasks you with closing the gate. The fighting is C tier at best. It's journalism fighting. What do you expect? But it does give us some really good insight of what to expect with side quests at least. It's also around this time they introduce archetypes for the zombies and how they'll have different ones for different zombies. It's really not that complicated. And this is also where I go from somewhat positive to somewhat negative as they introduce a brand new feature, skill cards. This goes together like NFTs and chafing. It's just, why? Why even do this? Now let me play devil's advocate, at least for those who are gonna say I'm blindly hating. I already got enough of that on Twitter this past week. It gives you something to grind for. Cool. There you go. The main reason I don't like this is because they had this same stupid ass system in Back 4 Blood, and it felt meaningless to even try to collect cards, and the ones that you try to use already are useless. We see some gameplay of the cards being used, cool, yeah, whatever, but I'd rather not have that system in this game entirely. To finish things off, we see some quick gameplay of the Fury mode, which is the result of you being infected, a showcase of the Apex, which are just special infected with quote-unquote unique challenges and horrifying behaviors, and then we finish it off with an appearance from She-Hulk. Boom. it's over. Here are my personal takes slash food for thought, whatever you want to call this section. Starting with the good, the game looks incredible. I love this modern feel. The fact it takes place in LA is a nice touch, and it leaves me wondering how they're gonna try to go above and beyond with this. Out of all the weapon styles, Blunt Force is probably going to be the one I use the most because, let's just be honest, it looked the best out of the entire gameplay. I used bladed weapons in the first Dead Island because it made things easier, but blunt weapons look so damn fun to use. Unique zombie types are pretty dope as well, and I like the ones that are more burnt than Charlie Sheen's brain because they appear unaffected by fire, so that'll be interesting to go up against. You can really see the care the studio has at least trying to make a game we've been waiting 8 years to play, and if they don't care, they're showing us a pretty damn good lie. Let's just be honest. I just hope for a better movement system because going back and playing the first Dead Island feels like you're controlling a tank. The controls are sticky, they're stiff, bleh, don't like it. The only problem I can see is the card system. I don't like the idea of collecting cards like some snot-nosed Timmy collecting Pokemon cards. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that. I stopped collecting cards like 2 years ago and I'm turning 25 this year, but that's because they got expensive. No other reason why. Are they going to be required? I really hope not, because that is worth a Sam B-sized ass whooping if it is. Worrying about all these side quests and main story quests and then having to look for a card because that'll complete some sort of wacky build someone on the Steam discussion board left, it's better just to leave that system out entirely. Find another way to get people to grind the game, just don't resort to cards, please. In the end though, I want to hear what you have to say in the comments. Are you excited about Dead Island 2? Do you think the trailer's overhyping the final product? Let me know. And while you're down there, go ahead and leave a like on the video, sub to the channel, and tap the bell to all because we are on the road to 200 subs, and YouTube said that if you sub to the channel, you'll see more of my content. Guaranteed. This is Sir Blackout signing off, asking a very important question. Who do you voodoo, bitch? Later.